Good evening, and thank you for coming this evening. I hope that everyone had a happy holiday and is off to a good start of the year. If we could stand for the pledge, please. Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is Thursday, January 6, 2022. We are doing this meeting through Zoom, and do we have...
We're going to allow the Nelson Pope and Voorhees consultant to enter.
Okay, so we're going to have the continuation of the public hearing to solicit comments from the applicant in response to the secra for Breezy Hill for the November 18th hearing.
There she is. Carrie, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, it made me, can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well.
Okay, great. It just made me rejoin, so sorry if you were waiting there for a moment.
We just called the hearing, so you're on.
Great. Good evening. My name is Carrie O'Farrell. I am a senior partner at the firm of Nelson, Pope and Voorhees with offices at 70 Maxis Road in Melville, New York. I'm here on behalf of Chick Voorhees, who was supposed to make the meeting tonight and got tied up, so I am his stand-in. And I will do the best I can to answer your questions, and I can provide the update that he was intending to provide for you this evening. We are, as you may be aware, the lead consultant for the draft environmental impact statement prepared for the Breezy Hill project. And this is a follow-up to the meeting of December 16th, when Chick provided an update on the revisions of the draft environmental impact statement, which I'll call EIS for short, as just for throughout the comments. We are looking to address the town consultant comments that were issued December 1st, 2021. At this time, Chick, I think at the last planning board meeting of December 16th, reported that the removal of solid waste at the site had started. The final removal of that material has been slightly delayed until next week. The completion of that work has been slightly delayed due to some COVID impacts of staffing from the applicant, but they do intend to have that completed by next week. We are in the process of addressing the traffic comments by researching summer counts and looking at the splish splash parking lot capacity. This is in progress, and we intend to have this information prior to the next planning board meeting of January 20th. We have researched the code and determined that a special permit is not needed. The project attorney, Mr. LaSquadro, has provided guidance to our client to ensure that the site is operated as a non-wholesale business. We have engaged a noise consultant to address the noise comments. This is in progress at this point and will take several weeks to complete. And Chip will provide an update at the next meeting on that. We are working with the applicant to further address Jeff Siemens' comments from the last meeting. Specifically, he took the reported processing capacity of the facility at 750 tons per day and projected that out over a year to estimate how much material could be processed at the facility annually. And based on that, Mr. Seaman was looking for impact analysis based on the full capacity of the facility. We are coordinating with the operator to determine if the applicant ever expects to process at that full daily capacity and looking at potential further limitations. So based on the findings of that, we will look to assess impacts and provide mitigation as appropriate, depending on the intended use of the facility. We are addressing water supply as it relates to fire protection and potable water. And then the other items in Jeff Siemens' December 1st letter are also being addressed, and we will have a further update for you on the next board meeting of January 20th. Since there's a number of things still in progress, I don't have an exact timeframe for the resubmission of the materials at this time, but I would request if the board could keep the draft EIS hearing open until we can submit the requested information. That would be much appreciated. Again, we'll be back, likely Chick Voorhees, on January 20th to provide another update and hopefully have some additional information for you at that time. At this time, if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them, but that concludes my update for the evening.
Okay, so basically, the update, nothing has been done since the last meeting. We were hoping that there would be information sent to the planning department that they would be able to have a chance to review. Nothing has been sent. Am I correct?
That's my understanding, is that we're still in progress on the various items at this point. They have continued to remove material from the site, and it's not that nothing has been done, but we haven't been able to complete.
Just since the prior meeting,
right.
nothing has been done. Another thing, you mentioned Splish Splash and their parking. Can you expand on that a little bit? I know that you're kind of at a disadvantage here, but I don't understand exactly what that has to do with the traffic study of,
I don't know the details, unfortunately. It just indicates that we were looking into additional parking lot capacity at the Splish Splash location. It is likely as a response to one of the traffic comments that was received, but I'm sorry, I don't have the details of that information.
As far as the noise consultant, would you be able to tell us who that is?
I believe it is A&C, Analysis and Consulting. Let me verify that, because I know that's who we typically use for noise work. If you bear with me 1 second, I can just check.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It is B. Lang Associates.
I'm sorry?
It is B. Lang Associates.
Okay, does anyone,
Yeah, quick point. You said the remediation should be done soon. You had some COVID delays, which I understand. So you're kind of implying that by January 20th, the next meeting, when we're expecting information, you believe the remediation will be done by that point?
That's my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
Couple of questions for you. In your statement, you mentioned something about a non-commercial facility. Use that term? For
The intention is for the site to be operated as a non-wholesale business.
non-wholesale, which means what?
It's a good question.
You mean non-retail, I believe. Wholesale would be,
Says not wholesale.
Non-wholesale, correct.
it's going to be a retail business?
I'm sorry, I don't have the details on it. That's what's listed as the specifics. Hang on 1 second if I can
Yeah, we should check into that.
try and see if I can get any further.
Yeah, I'd like to
Further
know exactly
clarifications
what
on it.
that means with regard to material. Well, I think we have an answer.
Thank you, Jeff Seaman, for the record consultant on this application on behalf of the planning board. I believe the question regarding wholesale retail falls under the need for a special permit if it is a wholesale operation within the industrial C zoning use district. The applicant had not suggested retail was part of the operation. In the original EIS, there was an explanation on behalf of the applicant's description of its operation that it would sell to individuals outside their own business entity. So that could be interpreted as wholesale, since it's not retail. However, the applicant has revised those statements to suggest that they are going to use all of the material that is processed exclusively for their own use. So they will not sell any of the product, is my understanding, the way it has been presented to date.
So does that make them need a special permit from the town board, or no?
No, they would not require a special permit unless they are classified as wholesale. So I think what the applicants are going to present back to the board is an explanation of a description of their operation that would, I assume, exclude them from a wholesale operation.
I'm looking forward to hearing that one.
Yeah, how do you sell to yourself?
Yeah, I don't know.
Since it's one corporation to another? I mean, I'm not an attorney, but Jeff, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I have a clarification, if you'd like for me to read that into the record from Ms. Solis Quadro. Is that
Sure.
appropriate? Okay, so this is, again, I don't have the details of it, I'm just looking at the letter that was provided. The applicant will take in material and convert it by way of permitted concrete crushing process to recycled concrete aggregate, or RCA, a sustainable engineering application for the construction industry. The RCA will be available at the Calverton site to anyone who wishes to obtain it. The RCA will not be provided solely to select contractors who work within a particular industry.
What did you, excuse me for interrupting, what did you just say? You just said that it would be available, you read it after that, available to?
Yep, the RCA will be available at the Calverton site to anyone who wishes to obtain it.
So that doesn't mean now that you are using it yourself. This was going to be a plant that was going to produce a product that you were going to use, yet you couldn't give us in any shape or form how you were actually going to use it. We had asked that question several times. Where is it going to be used? What other business do you have?
If you want, I can continue. There's a little bit
Okay,
more
sure.
explanation if that's
By all
helpful. Okay, so the RCA will not be provided solely to select contractors who work within a particular industry. The Webster Dictionary defines wholesale as the sale of commodities in quantity, usually for resale. This definition of wholesale comports with what the customary understanding and everyday experience tells us that the word wholesale signifies, namely that a wholesale operation is limited to just certain entities in a field who will in turn make a product available to the general or greater public.
I defer this to you now.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same
I
exact
defer
thing.
this to you. What do you get out of it?
Clear as mud.
That's a torture.
I guess what we need to find out, what actually is it gonna be, a wholesale or retail operation? I don't see Joe Homeowner coming in and filling up his trunk with RCA, but maybe I'm wrong.
I apologize, I don't have the industrial C code in front of me, but I believe that retail is not a permitted use within that district, and if wholesale is a component of any project within the industrial C, then it would require the special permit.
Right.
So I think we're waiting for that clarification.
Thank you.
I can ask both the attorney and Chick Voorhees to be prepared to have a little greater detail on that for the January 20th meeting.
Thank you.
And at our last hearing, Mr. Voorhees mentioned that you had found the well, and it was in the basement of the house?
I'm not going to be able to provide information, but I'll take down your question so that we can bring
I
response.
just wanted to make a statement that you would not be able to use that well for anything. You're gonna have to put in a well. The health department will
Okay.
never let you use a well inside a building. And then I have one other question. Again, in the statement, you mentioned the environmental justice requirements, that this is an environmental justice site.
That wasn't in my statement. I'm not sure.
That was in Mr. Voorhees' statement last month.
Oh, okay.
And the question I have is to explain exactly what that means in terms of requirements, permits, et cetera.
Okay.
And if you don't have the answer, but I'd like to get the answer to that.
I do not. I would need to
Okay.
look a little bit further into what the what it may be in this case.
Okay, thank you.
There was one other thing I'd like you to add to your notes, if you could.
Sure.
Whenever, there was a reference made to using surrounding wells as, and I'm saying from memory now, in firefighting capacity. Could someone try to clear that up, who specifically those people are that you have, gotten permission from, and their gallons per minute, gallons per hour, whatever, if they could clarify that as well?
Yes, I know that the issue of water supply is something that is actively being investigated. So, sure, I will add that to the list.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything?
Jeff, what would you like to see on the 20th? Would you give me an answer to that one?
What I would like to see on the 20th is as much of the information that we've been requesting for several weeks. I know that we have the holidays kind of roll in after the meeting in early December. However, we've been anxious to get this information. We were having discussions earlier in this process to not go through a supplemental EIS in order to gather this information promptly and make sure that it would respond adequately to the comments, so that when the FEIS is prepared, that we would be able to have a good document for this board to develop a finding statement from. We had expected that perhaps at this meeting, a draft of enough of that information that I could provide some technical input and maybe not raise any more questions or comments unless they were really warranted by what I was given to review. So at this date, I was hoping to have that information. Perhaps we'll have it on the 20th. I would very much like to have it on the 20th so that, or before the 20th, so that when that date comes before us, if I do have any other further comments, that I can share that with the board and we can proceed.
Yeah, Jeff,
In the last minutes, and I'll read it to you, this is what Mr. Voorhees said. They will plan to meet with staff after the January 6th planning board meeting, and then have everything ready by the 20th. So I would hope that they would have something, at least in writing, that perhaps we could even, and you could even review and comment on at the next meeting, so we could move this along.
I'll certainly make myself available based on the information
Jeff,
they
the other
provide.
thing is, I think we need a clear description of whether it's a wholesale or a retail operation. If it's wholesale, I understand. If it's retail, we'll need explanation. But let's make sure that's answered clearly by the next meeting.
That's a very important point, because that, I think, goes back to the November 2nd comment period on the, you know, the first hearing that we had on the EIS. Our concern there is if they are described as wholesale, they'll have to go through or add to the EIS process, the special permit.
Right.
And meet those 18 criteria that go along with it. So perhaps if it's helpful to the applicant's preparers, even if they outlined, looked at the special permit requirements, and even did a theoretical comparison of their project and its operations, that if they did require that permit, that they could meet those standards and provide whatever mitigation would be required. That might be a safety net in order to move this forward and not actually find that out at a later date and have to restart this process.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dave.
I would like information sent to the planning department prior to the meeting on the 20th, which was what was supposed to happen prior to this meeting. As far as I know, there wasn't anything sent over. So if you could put that in the notes, please.
Sure.
Do you want to make a motion to keep it open, or just,
Yes.
Yes.
Do we do that before we let the
oh, I don't know.
public come up and,
Jeffrey?
yeah?
Anyway, this is a public hearing, we have people in the audience,
Right.
I don't know if you have anybody in the waiting room, so I don't know if anybody,
Thank you. So at this time, if we have any public comments on,
Nobody on the Zoom.
oh, there's nobody on Zoom, but we have someone in the audience that would like to come up.
Good evening. Jim Goraleski, 1776 Middle Road, Calverton, New York, property adjacent to this project. My question for the town, I don't know if anybody's aware, because of so many vacations and COVID, other things going on. But this week's material has been dropped off on the property, aggregate-type material, broken concrete, on the west side of the property, on the opposite side of the house from my house. So it's not all that noticeable to most people, but we've noticed numerous trucks dropping material there. As far as I know, it was just a remediation they were allowed to do up to this point, but maybe they are allowed to bring material in preparation for doing other things on the site. But maybe you can get an answer to what that material is before the next meeting.
So this is in addition to what has been there, this is a new shipment
Yes,
into the property?
correct. Oh, well,
Can
this
you
is
add that
this
to
week,
the?
right?
to the
Yes,
list?
could you repeat when you thought that it was delivered?
Do you have a
Can-
time frame for when that was happening?
January 3rd?
Oh,
Yeah, you have to speak to.
I was
podium
during
public hearing.
regular business hours, you know, normal business hours that they came, during daylight hours.
That's Monday.
So that's my only,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gorleski, you're welcome to speak, but it's a public hearing, so you have to do it at the microphone.
Hi, Deborah Goraleski, 1776 Middle Road. On January 3rd, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I heard trucks, and when I looked out, I saw them backing up, and they dumped the material behind the house, on the west side of the house. You can hear the rocks and everything, but you can see it. And there were 2, maybe 3 trucks that came. I don't know exactly how many, but I just heard noise, so I went and looked.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
You're very welcome.
Very material that goes process.
I was there yesterday. I didn't see it, but it was behind the house.
So, since there's no one else, there's no one on Zoom, I think that we should keep this hearing open until the
Make a-
next meeting.
I'll make a motion to keep the Breezy Hill DEIS public hearing open until January 20th, so moved.
Second?
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Take care.
Okay, we don't have anything on the discussion. We don't have the meetings from, the minutes from the past meeting.
I'll move the minutes.
We do have them?
Second the motion?
I didn't see them. I actually,
All 40 pages.
yeah, so I got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we don't have any correspondences. So the next meeting date is Thursday, January 20th, 2022 at 3 PM. And thank you all for attending.
Motion to close.
Oh, I'm sorry, motion to close.
Second the motion.
Aye.
First and second.
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good day, everyone.